Hi, everybody. It's Michael Foster, and I'm here today with Brian Tuma. Brian is with Movement Mortgage, as you know from the introduction we did. And our objective here today is to talk about the whole pre-approval process. And the whole series that we're going to have here today will be all about information that will help you become a much more educated buyer or seller in the process. So Brian, let's talk for a minute about the pre-approval process. And from your point of view as a lender, what does that do for someone who's trying to buy a home?
Fantastic question. So basically, the pre-approval really is the starting point of the home buying process. A lot of times you'll reach out to a realtor, and if you're not paying cash, you're going to need a loan. So we talk about the pre-approval process, and the biggest part of that is understanding your budget. Really, a lot of times, there's a lot of information out there on the internet, not always clear, but if you're renting for, you say, $800 and you can afford a mortgage of $1,000, we want to certainly make sure you're looking at homes that might be in that process. So a couple things that we're going to look at in the pre-approval process, besides your budget, is how your credit is, what your income is, what your debts are. And when loan originators underwrite the file and determine the credit worthiness of issuing a loan for a house, we look at all those factors together. So a lot of details that go into each of those would take a long time to explain them, but those are kind of the things that we're going to do. We're going to pull a credit report, we're going to ask for documents with your income, with your assets, and then we're going to talk about down payment options, and then a little bit later on we'll talk about some down payment assistance options that might be out there, especially as a first-time home buyer. So really getting details, talking about a budget, really the important part of starting the pre-approval process.
Thanks, Brian. So, and generally that process takes how long?
That's a good question. It could be as little as basically a 20-minute conversation, and then depending how much questions there might be for follow-up, it's usually less than a 24-hour process.
Yeah. And I'll just speak from the realtor side for all of you out there who are thinking about buying a home. Step one, get in touch with a mortgage lender, find out all the parameters that Brian just articulated to all of you. And there are a lot of sellers out there right now that won't accept an offer unless they have a pre-approval letter with them. And so you're going to be ahead of the game, and you're going to be much better positioned if you make that step. So Brian, I appreciate the clarity, and let's move on to the next one.
All right. Thanks, Michael.